before you change your life, before you change your money, before you change your future, you must change something far more subtle: your mood. Because your mood is not just how you feel, it is how you decide, it is how you react, it is how you spend money, it is how you speak, it is how you think. Your mood quietly decides whether you build wealth or destroy it, whether you grow stronger or stay trapped, whether you move forward or sabotage yourself without even realizing it. Most people believe success is about intelligence. Others believe it's about talent. Some believe it's about luck. But the truth is more uncomfortable than that. Success is emotional discipline. This audiobook is called How to Control Your Mood, Financial Freedom, and Mental Strength. And what you are about to hear is not motivation, it is instruction. Because uncontrolled emotions cost more than money. They cost opportunities, they cost respect, they cost peace, they cost years of your life. And the tragedy is this: most people never realize they are paying this price until it's too late. Pause for a moment. How many arguments started because of mood? How many bad financial decisions were emotional decisions? How many relationships were damaged because of a reaction instead of a response? How many opportunities were missed because frustration took over? Mood is not harmless. Mood is expensive. If you do not control your mood will control you. And if your mood controls you, you will never be free. This audiobook will show you how to reclaim that control. Not by suppressing emotions, not by pretending everything is fine, not by toxic positivity, but by discipline. Because discipline creates freedom. Calm is power. Self-control is success, and emotional mastery is the foundation of financial freedom. Most people live emotionally reactive lives. They wake up already irritated. They scroll, compare, complain. They react to messages instantly. They speak before thinking. They spend before planning. Then they wonder why life feels chaotic. Chaos is not random. Chaos is emotional. A person who cannot control their mood cannot control their mouth. A person who cannot control their mouth cannot control their money. A person who cannot control their money cannot control their future. This is why everything is connected. Your mouth, your mind, your mood, your money. Master one, and the others follow. Ignore one, and the others collapse. In this journey, you will learn how to stay calm when others lose control. Think clearly under pressure. Walk away from emotional traps. Stop letting feelings sabotage finances. Build discipline that protects your peace. Respond instead of react. Create emotional stability that attracts opportunity. This is not about becoming cold. It's about becoming unshakable. There is a difference. Emotionally weak people react. Emotionally strong people choose. And choice is where power lives. Right now, somewhere in your life, your emotions are making decisions for you. You may not see it clearly yet, but by the end of this audiobook, you will. Because once you see it, you can never unsee it. And once you learn to pause, even for a second, between emotion and action, your entire life begins to change. This is where that pause begins. In the next chapter, we will expose the first hidden enemy of emotional control, the mouth. Because the fastest way to destroy your life is to speak while emotional, and the fastest way to protect it is to master silence. Chapter 2. Control your mouth before it costs you everything. The fastest way to lose control of your life is to open your mouth when emotions are loud. One sentence spoken in anger can destroy years of trust. One emotional reaction can close doors that never reopen. One careless word can cost money, reputation, and peace. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they speak without discipline. Your mouth is the first battlefield of self-control. When emotions rise, the urge to speak feels irresistible. To defend, to explain, to justify, to attack. But here is the truth no one teaches you. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. Emotionally reactive people speak to release tension. Emotionally disciplined people pause to protect their future. Every time you speak emotionally, you give away power. Every time you stay calm, you gain it. Think about it. Who controls the room? The person shouting or the person silent and composed? Who commands respect? The one reacting or the one observing? Who wins negotiations? The emotional or the calm? Power does not announce itself. Power waits. Most people regret what they say far more than what they don't say, because words cannot be retrieved once released. Your mouth reveals your inner state. If your words are chaotic, your mind is chaotic. If your speech is reckless, your discipline is weak. This is why emotional control always begins with verbal control. Before you respond, ask yourself, will this sentence improve my life or damage it? Is this coming from clarity or emotion? Will I be proud of these words tomorrow? If the answer is no, you wait. This pause is everything. 1 second of restraint can save years of consequences. The most dangerous people are not the loud ones. They are the calm ones who choose every word deliberately. And here's the uncomfortable reality. Your income, your relationships, your opportunities, they all respond to how you speak. People trust calm voices. They follow steady communicators. They invest in emotionally stable individuals. No one wants to build with someone unpredictable. This is why emotional speech is expensive. It costs credibility. It costs influence. It costs money. Every argument has a price tag. Every outburst has a consequence. Every emotional message leaves a receipt. Discipline your mouth, and you discipline your future. This does not mean becoming silent forever. It means becoming intentional. You speak when it adds value. You stay silent when it adds power. And here is the secret. The more disciplined your silence becomes, the more valuable your words become. People listen when you speak less. People respect those who don't need to prove themselves verbally. People feel your authority before you say anything. This is how leaders speak, or don't speak. In the next chapter, we move deeper. Because controlling your mouth is only possible when you control the source of emotion itself, your mind. Thoughts create moods. Moods create decisions. Decisions create outcomes. And if you do not control your thoughts will control you. Chapter 3. Master your mind or become its prisoner. Everything begins in the mind. Before the emotion rises, before the words escape your mouth, before the money is lost, a thought appeared. Most people never notice this moment. They feel the emotion, react to the impulse, and blame the situation. But disciplined individuals know the truth. You don't react to events. You react to the story you tell yourself about the event. 2 people face the same problem. One stays calm, the other explodes. Same situation, different internal dialogue. Your thoughts are not harmless. They are instructions. Every thought gives your body a command. Every repeated thought becomes a habit. Every habit becomes a personality trait. And your personality determines your results. If your mind is undisciplined, your mood will be unstable. If your mood is unstable, your decisions will be inconsistent. If your decisions are inconsistent, your life will feel chaotic. This is why emotional control is not about suppressing feelings. It's about training the mind before feelings take over. Most people let their thoughts run wild all day. Negative thoughts, imaginary arguments, worst-case scenarios, old memories replaying on loop. And then they wonder why they feel exhausted, irritated, and unfocused. Your brain believes what you repeat. If you repeatedly think, "This is unfair, I'm losing, they don't respect me, I'll never get ahead," your nervous system prepares for threat, not success. Stress becomes normal. Anxiety becomes familiar. Calm feels uncomfortable. This is how people become addicted to emotional chaos. But here is the shift that changes everything. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. The moment you create distance between you and your thinking, you regain control. Instead of believing every thought, you question it. Is this true? Is this useful? Is this thought helping me win or lose? Most thoughts fail this test. And here is the discipline most people avoid. You do not argue with negative thoughts. You replace them. Arguing keeps them alive. Replacement starves them. You choose thoughts that serve your future, not your mood. Calm thoughts create calm actions. Clear thoughts create smart decisions. Controlled thoughts create controlled outcomes. This is not positive thinking. This is strategic thinking. When something triggers you, pause internally and say, "Interesting. My mind wants to react. I don't need to obey this impulse. I choose control." This pause rewires your brain. Every time you resist reacting, your mental strength grows. Every time you stay calm under pressure, your confidence compounds. Because confidence doesn't come from winning, it comes from self-control. You trust yourself more when you know you won't self-sabotage emotionally. This is where financial discipline begins. People don't lose money because they lack information. They lose money because emotions hijack decisions. Fear causes bad investments. Anger causes impulsive spending. Ego causes unnecessary risk. Calm creates clarity. Clarity creates wealth. The richest people are not the smartest. They are the most emotionally regulated. They do not panic. They do not chase. They do not react. They wait. They observe. They decide with precision. And that discipline starts here, in the mind. In the next chapter, we confront one of the most expensive emotions of all, impulse. Because impulse feels harmless until you calculate its cost. Chapter 4. Impulse, the silent destroyer of wealth and peace. Impulse doesn't arrive loudly. It doesn't warn you. It doesn't ask permission. It whispers, "Just this once. You deserve it. Say it now. Buy it now. React now." And in that moment, your future is negotiating with your emotions. Most people believe impulse is a personality flaw. It's not. Impulse is simply untrained emotion combined with speed. The faster you act emotionally, the more expensive the mistake. Impulse costs money. Impulse costs relationships. Impulse costs reputation. Impulse costs peace. And the most dangerous part? Impulse feels good in the moment. That's why it's addictive. Your brain rewards speed with dopamine, not wisdom. This is why people overspend when stressed, why they speak when angry, why they quit when frustrated, why they chase shortcuts when tired. Impulse is the mind trying to escape discomfort. But discomfort is where discipline is built. The disciplined person understands this rule. If it feels urgent, it requires a pause. Urgency is emotional manipulation from your own brain. Real opportunities don't rush you. Smart decisions don't pressure you. Wealth doesn't demand immediate reaction. Impulse is expensive because it bypasses logic. It moves your body before your mind has time to evaluate. Think about how many regrets began with, "I didn't think. It just happened. I wasn't myself." You were yourself, just untrained. Impulse thrives in emotional environments: anger, excitement, fear, ego. That's why emotional discipline is financial discipline. The person who controls impulse controls outcomes. Here's the discipline that changes everything. Delay is power, not avoidance, not suppression. Delay. When you feel the urge to react, buy, speak, quit, or prove something, delay by minutes, hours, or days. Impulse weakens with time. Clarity strengthens with time. A decision that survives delay is usually a good one. A decision that collapses under delay was never meant to be made. Wealthy minds are slow minds, not lazy, but deliberate. They don't rush to respond. They don't rush to spend. They don't rush to react. They let emotions settle before moving. Because emotions are temporary, but consequences are permanent. Impulse makes you trade long-term freedom for short-term relief. Discipline teaches you to sit with discomfort without acting on it. That's real strength. And here's a truth most people don't like to hear. If you can't control impulse, you can't control money. Money magnifies who you already are. If you're impulsive with little, you'll be reckless with more. If you're disciplined with little, you'll multiply more. This is why emotional mastery comes before financial success. not after. The calm mind doesn't chase. The disciplined mind doesn't react. The strong mind waits. And waiting is not weakness. Waiting is confidence. Confidence that you don't need to act now to win later. In the next chapter, we expose another hidden thief, your mouth. Because words spoken emotionally can destroy in seconds what took years to build. Chapter 5. Your mouth decides your future before your money does. Most people think money leaves their life through bad investments. That's wrong. Money leaves through the mouth first. One careless sentence, one emotional response, one unnecessary explanation, one ego-driven reaction, and suddenly, trust is broken. Opportunities disappear, reputations crack. Your mouth is a multiplier. It multiplies wisdom, or it multiplies regret. Here's a hard truth. People don't fail financially because they lack intelligence. They fail because they talk emotionally. They explain when silence would protect them. They argue when calm would elevate them. They boast when restraint would attract respect. They complain when discipline would create leverage. Words spoken without emotional control don't just express mood. They expose instability. And instability is expensive. The world doesn't reward intelligence alone. It rewards composure. The person who can stay calm under pressure instantly appears more competent, even if they know less. Because calm communicates confidence. Confidence attracts trust. Trust attracts opportunity. Opportunity attracts money. This is why leaders speak less but with weight. Every word they release has intention. They don't react verbally. They respond strategically. And here's the rule that separates powerful communicators from emotional talkers. Never speak to relieve emotion. Speak to produce results. If you speak to vent, you lose leverage. If you speak to impress, you lose credibility. If you speak to defend your ego, you lose authority. Emotional speech feels relieving, but it's costly. Silence, on the other hand, is misunderstood. People think silence means weakness. In reality, silence is emotional dominance. It means, I'm not controlled by this moment. I don't need to prove myself. I'm choosing my response. Silence gives your nervous system time to settle. It gives your brain time to engage. It gives your future protection. This doesn't mean never speaking. It means speaking last. The last voice is usually the strongest one, because by the time you speak, everyone else has revealed their emotional state, their weaknesses, their intentions, their fears. And you're calm. Calm wins negotiations. Calm wins conflicts. Calm wins money. Here's a discipline practice that changes everything. Before you speak, ask yourself one question. Will this improve my position? If the answer is no, don't say it. Not everything you feel needs to be expressed. Not everything you think needs to be shared. Not every truth needs to be spoken immediately. The disciplined mouth protects the disciplined mind. And the disciplined mind builds wealth quietly. Because wealth is not loud. Power is not reactive. Control is not emotional. In the next chapter, we connect everything together: mood, mouth, money, mind. Because once you control all four, nothing controls you. Chapter 6. Control the system. Control your life. Mood, mouth, money, mind. Most people try to fix these separately. They work on mindset, but still speak recklessly. They save money, but stay emotionally reactive. They read books, but never train self-control. That's why progress feels temporary, because these four are not separate systems. They are one loop. Your mind creates your thoughts. Your thoughts influence your mood. Your mood controls your mouth. Your mouth affects your money. Your money situation feeds back into your mind. Break the loop at the wrong place, and the system stays broken. But break it at the source, and everything upgrades. The source is not money. It's not circumstances. It's not other people. The source is internal discipline. When your mind is disciplined, your mood stabilizes. When your mood is stable, your words sharpen. When your words are controlled, your money compounds. When your money compounds, your stress decreases. When stress decreases, your mind becomes even stronger. That's how calm people quietly dominate. They don't chase motivation, they don't wait for inspiration, they train regulation. Here's the truth nobody teaches. Emotional discipline is a financial skill. The market punishes panic. Negotiations punish impatience. Opportunities punish desperation. The calm person always wins, not because they're smarter, but because they're slower to react and faster to adapt. Think about it. Who loses the most money? The person who reacts to headlines, the person who responds emotionally to pressure, the person who makes decisions when angry, anxious, or insecure. Now flip it. Who wins long term? The person who pauses, the person who thinks clearly under stress, the person who doesn't let mood dictate movement. That's control. And control is freedom. Here's a daily mental protocol that builds this system. Every time emotion spikes, pause. Not for minutes, not for hours, just 3 conscious breaths. Inhale slowly. Exhale longer than you inhale. This signals safety to the nervous system. When your body feels safe, your mind regains control. Then ask, what response serves my future, not my feeling? That question alone changes trajectories. Because feelings are temporary, consequences are permanent. Most people don't ruin their lives with one big mistake. They ruin them with small emotional decisions repeated daily. A sharp reply, a rushed purchase, a heated argument, an impulsive agreement. Discipline prevents these leaks. And when leaks stop, progress accelerates. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to suppress emotion. You don't need to become cold. You need to become intentional. Feel everything. React to nothing. That's power. In the next chapter, we'll expose the final illusion. Why most people think they lack motivation, when what they actually lack is emotional structure. And once you build that structure, nothing shakes you. Chapter 7. Why motivation fails and structure wins. Most people believe their problem is motivation. They say, I just don't feel motivated. I know what to do, I just don't do it. I start strong, then I fall off. But motivation was never the issue. Motivation is an emotion, and emotions are unreliable. They rise, they fall. They disappear the moment discomfort appears. If success depended on motivation, no one would ever finish anything difficult. The truth is uncomfortable, but freeing. You don't need motivation, you need structure. Structure removes decision fatigue. Structure replaces emotion with systems. Structure tells you what happens next. No debate required. High performers don't wake up inspired. They wake up committed. They don't ask, how do I feel today? They ask, what is scheduled? And then they execute. Think about your mood again. When motivation is high, discipline feels easy. When motivation drops, discipline feels impossible. That's why relying on mood destroys consistency. So what do disciplined people do differently? They pre-decide. They decide in advance how they will act, before emotion shows up. They don't wait to feel calm to respond calmly. They don't wait to feel confident to speak clearly. They don't wait to feel ready to manage money wisely. They follow rules they created when they were thinking clearly. Here's the rule most people never create. When emotion is high, decision-making is paused. That one rule alone prevents emotional spending, regretful conversations, impulsive commitments, reactive decisions. And over time, this rule compounds into stability. Structure looks boring from the outside, but boring systems create extraordinary results. That's why calm people outperform emotional people, even if they're less talented. Because talent without control self-destructs. Now let's talk about financial self-control, because this is where most people fail quietly. Money doesn't disappear because people are stupid. It disappears because they're emotional. They spend to feel better. They spend to impress. They spend to escape discomfort. Then they wonder why progress stalls. Every emotional purchase is a tax on your future, and the calm person doesn't avoid spending. They avoid emotional spending. They delay gratification not because they're disciplined, but because they understand leverage. They know that patience today buys freedom tomorrow. Here's a powerful mindset shift. You are not managing money. You are managing impulses. Master impulses, money follows. The same applies to communication. Your mouth has the power to multiply wealth or destroy it. One careless sentence can ruin a deal. One emotional response can burn a bridge. One uncontrolled reaction can cost years. That's why silence is often the highest form of control. Not weakness, not fear. Strategic restraint. Calm speech signals confidence. Measured words command respect. Pauses create authority. People listen more when you speak less, but better. In the next chapter, we bring everything together. Mind, mood, mouth, money. One unified system, one discipline, one identity shift. And once this identity locks in, you stop fighting yourself. You become unshakable. Chapter 8. The identity shift that changes everything. Real change doesn't start with habits. It starts with identity. You can force discipline for a while. You can white-knuckle self-control for a few weeks. But without an identity shift, you will eventually return to old patterns. Why? Because behavior always follows identity. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of who you believe you are. So let's define the identity that creates permanent control. Not control through tension, not control through suppression, but control through clarity. The disciplined person doesn't see themselves as someone trying to be calm. They see themselves as someone who does not react impulsively. They don't say, "I'm working on my temper." They say, "I don't make decisions when emotional." That difference matters, because the brain protects identity. Once you decide, "This is who I am," your nervous system aligns with that decision. Here's the identity that changes everything. I am someone who pauses. I pause before speaking. I pause before spending. I pause before reacting. I pause before committing. That pause is power. It creates space between stimulus and response. And in that space lives freedom. Most people live reactively. Life happens, emotion spikes, action follows, regret arrives. Controlled people live intentionally. Life happens, pause, choice, outcome improves. This isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming uncontrolled by emotion. You still feel anger, you still feel excitement, you still feel desire, but those emotions no longer drive the car. They sit in the passenger seat, acknowledged but not obeyed. Now let's talk about money again, because money amplifies identity. If you're impulsive, money exposes it. If you're disciplined, money rewards it. Financial stress is rarely about income. It's about emotional leakage. Little reactions, little justifications, little "I deserve this" moments. All of them feel harmless in isolation. Together, they destroy momentum. Controlled people operate differently. They don't chase pleasure. They build peace. They don't spend to escape discomfort. They invest to eliminate it. They understand one core truth. Every dollar is a decision about who you are becoming. Not rich or poor, not successful or struggling, but calm or chaotic. Now look at communication again. Your mouth is either a tool or a liability. Reactive speech creates enemies. Measured speech creates allies. The most powerful people in any room aren't the loudest. They are the calmest. They listen longer. They respond slower. They choose words deliberately. And when they speak, people lean in. Because emotional control creates authority. You don't need to dominate conversations to lead. You need presence. And presence is impossible without control. Here's a simple practice that rewires identity. Before any response, ask yourself, is this reaction aligned with who I am becoming? Not who you were, not who you feel like today, who you are building. That one question interrupts emotional autopilot. And interruption is how habits break. Over time, the pause becomes automatic. The calm becomes natural. And discipline stops feeling like effort, because it becomes who you are. In the final chapter, we'll lock this identity in permanently. Not as a phase, not as a challenge, but as a way of life. Chapter 9. The final lock. Making control. Non-negotiable. There comes a moment when discipline stops being something you practice and becomes something you protect. This is that moment. Because control is fragile in the beginning, but once established, it becomes priceless. And anything priceless must be guarded. Most people lose control not because they don't know better, but because they leave too many doors open. They negotiate with moods. They bargain with impulses. They give emotions a vote. Controlled people do something radically different. They remove negotiation entirely. They decide in advance. They decide how they respond under pressure, how they act when tired, how they behave when emotional, how they treat money, how they speak when triggered. Not in the moment, but before the moment arrives. This is the final lock. Pre-decision. When you pre-decide, emotions lose leverage. You don't ask, what do I feel like doing? You ask, what did I already decide? That's power. That's freedom. That's how elite performers stay consistent while others stay reactive. Now let's make this practical. Create 4 non-negotiables, 1 for each domain. Mind. I do not make important decisions while emotionally elevated. Mood. I pause before responding to anything that triggers me. Mouth. I speak only when it improves the situation. Money. I never spend to regulate emotion. These aren't rules. They are identity anchors. They don't restrict you. They protect you. Because every time you violate one, you don't just lose discipline. You fracture self-trust. And self-trust is the foundation of confidence. People who lack confidence usually aren't weak. They've just betrayed themselves too many times, but every time you hold the line, every time you pause, every time you don't react, you rebuild trust. Quietly, powerfully, and that trust compounds. You start walking differently, speaking differently, thinking clearly under pressure. Life stops feeling chaotic, not because it got easier, but because you got steadier. Here's the truth. No one tells you. Calm people win. Not loud people, not aggressive people, not emotional people. Calm people. They see opportunities others miss. They avoid mistakes others rush into. They build wealth slowly and keep it. They build relationships deeply and sustain them. Because they aren't controlled by the moment. They own the moment. So this is your final choice. Not tomorrow. Not when life calms down. Now, will you continue letting emotions spend your money, speak your words, and decide your future? Or will you step into the quiet power of self-control? Nothing outside of you needs to change. Only one thing does. Who's in charge? And if this audiobook shifted something in you, if a single line made you pause, reflect, or see yourself differently, share what hit hardest. Return to this message when pressure rises. And decide again and again to stay in control. Because calm is not weakness. Calm is dominance. End of audiobook. If you'd like the next audiobook to explore discipline, emotional mastery, money psychology, or mental strength, tell me what you want next.